Hello to you all, and welcome to another instalment of the Pitcast by us here at the Pit Crew Online, from the fans for the fans. Now, we thought we'd do things a little bit differently this week and take a look at one of the big topics of discussion that has emerged during the current triple header. And because of that, we came up with a question that we are going to spend the Pitcast answering, and that is, does Max Verstappen have it in him to win his first World Championship? I'm your host, Adam Wheeler, resident IndyCar editor at the Pit Crew Online. And joining us today are three special guests. So starting off, we have Aaron, who is our resident BTCC editor. How you doing, Aaron?
All right, guys. Yeah, not too bad. Glad to be back.
For those of you who don't know, Aaron's had a bit of good news this month where he's managed to get a quite reputable football club, shall we say, verified. So he's very happy about that at the moment. So well done, Aaron, for that this week. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, buzzing. It's good to see hard work get rewarded, I guess, not just from me, but everyone else who works for the club.
And hard work being rewarded, I guess that kind of feeds into what we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to move on to Jess. You've been on for the last few weeks and you're back again. So we must be doing something, right?
You can't get rid of me, I think is what the words you're looking for. I just like talking about Formula One and motorsport too much. You genuinely can't get rid of me. That's it. I'm here to stay now.
Yeah. And also we've got Chris, our resident statman, who is back after a fair few weeks. How are you doing, Chris?
Not too bad, thank you. Been on the down low, but been watching an array of motorsport, especially F1. I mean, got everything coming back to a sense of normality as such. I mean, hopefully maybe going to Alton Park or Brick Car, all sorts going through. So just hopefully the government open up more fans across the 2 or 4 wheels.
That's cool. You're going to potentially see a race. Jess, you might be going to the British Grand Prix. So, we've got a fair few people going to see some racing. But yeah, let's dive in. But before that, if you're new to the channel, please like this video and subscribe, whether you're viewing this on YouTube or Spotify. And if you have an opinion on what we're talking about today, make sure to comment below or let us know your thoughts. But let's get to the matter at hand, which of course is about Max Verstappen. And depending on when you're listening, the championship may look a little bit different. But as of right now, Verstappen is leading the championship after a stunning drive at the French Grand Prix. So I'm going to open the floor with this. And this question is in 2 parts. Do you guys think that Max is ready to become an F1 world champion? And the second part to that is, do you think this will be his year?
I mean, I think he's been showing signs he's capable of it for a few seasons now. He's just needed the car to really show it. So, and obviously now Red Bull seem to be in the ascendancy and on top. So why not go get it?
Yeah. I mean, he's kind of been in the weird place, hasn't he, where he's been picking up those odd wins and he's picking up the odd good result here and there. But recently, we've just been seeing this consistent performance after performance that's just been at such a high level consistently that we haven't really seen for such a long time. For many drivers, in fact, I mean, Lewis is really the only one who's been able to keep that consistency at a high level for so long, and that's probably as to why he's been so successful. But now he's found his match. It's crazy because we finally got an actual really good battle on our hands. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I slightly disagree in that I don't think he's quite ready. I 100% believe it's coming in the next couple of years, maybe 5 years, because Lewis is on his way out. But I just think that over a whole season, I've not seen him fully rise to the pressure. I've seen him crack under the pressure, and I just think he's not quite ready. He needs. Don't get me wrong, his momentum is on his side right now, and Red Bull have stepped up to the plate. They are up with Mercedes. They're battling them all the way. But I think particularly after the summer break in the second half of the season, where Lewis is often at his strongest, I think he is going to need to really fight back with that. And I'm not sure if he's quite I don't know, quite level-headed enough is what I want to say.
That's an interesting point, really, because it's Max has always been known as this sort of young kind of hothead in a way. He's sort of been known as this feisty driver, and the term of sort of playing cool or having that cool mentality, you don't really associate it with Max Verstappen.
No.
So I don't know. I mean, yeah, I remember, cast your minds back to Brazil a few years ago when he pushed Esteban Ocon off the weight bridge going into Parc Fermé, and everyone was going mad. They were going, "Oh, Verstappen, he's a hothead." But it's been a fair few years after that now, and I don't know, Jess. I kind of feel like he's almost matured now to a point where maybe he is ready. Although I'm not quite on the side of whether he is ready or whether he is not ready. I'm sort of kind of just trying to ask the question. But yeah, I think
It's
Chris
both.
will have some interesting points as to coming from a Red Bull fan, whether he thinks he's ready or
It's
not.
both now. He's matured, as well as Honda has matured as well. You got to go back to Austria when the season started. Was in a good position to start well. The car broke down. He was in a good position in Hungary. The car broke down. So, and that was in 2019, not 2020. So he's matured. He won't make mistakes again. You've got to go back to, say, Turkey last year when he tried to pass Perez. And he made the mistake of trying to overtake him too soon. He'll now not make that pass straight away. He'll go, okay, I'll hold back. And then looking at, say, his car and machinery is in a much better position for him to take the most out of it. This is the longest his car hasn't broken down on him. So he's got now the tools to win, because everyone goes, oh, it's all about the car. Nürburgring last year was the last time there was a mechanical requirement in a Red Bull. And this is the longest it's been in the turbo hybrid era.
Yeah. I mean, on your point of whether he does make that sort of mistake still, I mean, Bahrain, where he made that overtake on Lewis, and it didn't go well. He went across the outside of Lewis and exceeded track limits, and then he had to give the place back. So, a couple of years back, we were, there was Spa 2019 where, he had a bad start, and then he made that really bad move on Raikkonen, and that obviously didn't play out. It wasn't that sort of high percentage move that you would expect, say, a Lewis to make, and then, he binned it. And he sort of went on that run of races sort of in 2018 where, made a mistake in Australia. I think in China, he went off when he was trying to pass Hamilton in the race, which he could have won. There was the Azerbaijan collision, and then there was the Monaco crash as well. So there was all of those things all within a couple of races of each other. So one could argue he's been through that stage. He's been through those mistakes, and he's come out the other end a much better driver and a much more experienced driver. And I think every driver has to go through that stage. Vettel's, we all know Vettel's had his share of mistakes, and Hamilton's been through his share of mistakes too. So maybe, maybe he's been through it. Maybe he is mature. I don't know. Jess, did you have any more thoughts on that?
Yeah, I understand that, which is why I say I think it's coming in the next couple of years, because I see the maturity in him. I see the experience he's now got. I see the sort of the extra tuning the car to what he likes and getting a racecraft down much better in a Formula One car. But I don't know. I just think over a whole season we've not seen that yet. I think he's yet to, or at least to me, I've not seen that the whole season. So I think we need to see that. I don't know. Maybe I'll be eating my words at the end of the season and it'll all be different. But right now, I need to see the whole season to say, yeah, okay, he's got this, because it did take Lewis a little while. Yeah, okay, he won in 2008, but then he had season after season where there was unreliability, admittedly, from McLaren, but there was mistakes made from him where he just couldn't win the championship after that. And I think it took a little while for him to properly grow out of that. And I still think Verstappen he's basically there, but just for me, not quite. He needs 1 or maybe 2 more years, and then, because I just think over the whole season Lewis will have a stronger mentality in that respect.
Here's a question, and I'm going to throw this to Chris. So I'm sorry that I'm putting you on the spot here. In terms of outright speed, who do you think is quicker on current form, Max Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton?
On a particular track or a particular setting?
Let's go with over a 1 lap pace, qualifying pace.
Oh,
Hamilton.
I can answer that straight away.
You were very confident on that answer. Yeah, okay, interesting.
There's different aspects of a driver. I reckon he's more suited to low lap, and I reckon Verstappen likes to be the chaser.
Aaron, who do you think is quicker, Verstappen or Hamilton?
If we're going for the same thing, you'd have to say Hamilton, wouldn't you? You know, he can always just pull it out the bag. You think, he's not going to do anything, and then all of a sudden he pulls this lap out of nowhere. Like Chris says, I think Max does prefer to chase. I mean, he was on pole Sunday and made a mistake into turn 1. I don't know what happened, but you know, he might prefer to chase someone down rather than fend them off.
I think let's go on to Perez. I think that's going to be really interesting as to whether or not he's going to be able to make a charge on this World Championship. Because arguably, Verstappen's success at the French Grand Prix, for example, was as much down to Perez's ability to keep up with the Mercedes as it was Verstappen's. You know, where do you put Perez in all of this?
Third place.
Okay. I mean, in the Drivers' Championship, yeah.
Yeah, he's finally got to grips with it. It was like, it's just going to be another Albon or another Gasly. In fact, if you saw the first couple of results, finishing 40, 50 seconds back. But now Bottas is just whittled off, and Perez has got to grips with it. And he only finished sort of 6 seconds behind because he's got some sort of voodoo juice on the tyres. So he can run long. And it could be a big factor into the circumstance where they can't do the alternate strategy.
Yeah, and I'm going to read out a quote here that I picked up. So Toyohiro Tanabe from Honda, he said this on a quote to motorsport.com. He said, "Since we partnered with Red Bull, Verstappen has always had to compete against both Mercedes cars on his own. But Perez has joined the team this year and he is gradually picking up his pace. If the situation had been the same as last year, Hamilton might have been free to make a pit stop again. But this time, Perez was there and Mercedes could not move freely. In this sense, we could use teamwork, mechanics, engineers, strategists, and drivers." And he emphasizes "and drivers," which I found really interesting. His presence is very important for the future to become constructors champion and drivers championship champion. So he thinks that Perez is going to be really integral to Verstappen's chances of becoming a future world champion. I just find that really interesting. The fact that he also stresses "and drivers" as if that wasn't the case before with some of the others. Interesting choice of words there. But yeah, Jess, where do you put Perez's role in Max's chance of becoming a future world champion?
Well, it's vital, isn't it? Because in the same sense that Bottas has played the team game for Lewis in the past, I think Russia, I can't remember which year it was, but Russia sticks out to me, where Bottas had definitely had the lead or was third in that race, and then they made them switch so that Lewis could get on the podium. And that was, you know, but Bottas has been there for Lewis, and now Red Bull have got a second driver which can compete. I mean, had Baku gone differently, Lewis would have finished third, not second. And I mean, yeah, it's a good chunk of points that for the Drivers' Championship could make all the difference by the time we get to the end of the season. It might not make any difference to Perez, who, as Chris said, will likely be third, but it will make a difference to whoever's at the top because they didn't get that 3 points. So it's vital. It is vital.
Yep. Aaron, do you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I think Perez is the perfect wingman. I mean, he's been the best. For me, he's been one of the best drivers the last 10 years, full stop. No filters or anything. He's been the best, one of the best drivers about. And now he's finally got a car that's, worthy to be at the top. He's not having to drag it up to the top like at Force India. So now he's actually getting a chance to show what he's been capable of the whole time. He's And I think with Albon and Gasly, they were relatively inexperienced in terms of Formula One. They got thrust into the Red Bull seat very quickly, whereas Perez has had to earn his stripes. He's been in F1 for like 10 years before he gets a good car. So I think that puts him in good stead in this title battle because he knows how to be quick and how to be at the front and back Verstappen up.
And of course, the other main important factor in all of this is Honda. And I think we have to sort of acknowledge the job they've been doing with Red Bull this season. This uptick in performance that they've had, where almost the engine is seemingly almost on par with Mercedes now. Because I think they brought forward the 2022 engine forward a year to this year. And they've been competitive at most circuits. We've seen at Baku, Lewis found it a real struggle to compete against Perez in front. And this is, interestingly, I think the first time Honda have, in any capacity, sort of in any way, led a F1 Constructors' Championship for the first time since 1991. So it's quite cool that they're up there and they're doing well. Chris, did you have something to say on that?
Well, yeah, it's just you get the memories back to Honda McLaren, didn't you? And the red and white Marlboro McLarens, and then obviously the Williams and sort of all the circumstance like that. But that's the only threat, is that Honda have been well renowned for the turbo hybrid era for having reliability issues. So I reckon that's the only, if they can keep within the rules for amount of ECUs and power units for the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how Honda can see if they can keep their dominance, or at least keep their competitiveness going forward to next year, because you've got Ferrari, who are sort of bringing forward that new 2022 engine for that year, and we've got to see if Mercedes can build on the already perfect work that they already do in the engine department, and if Honda can, because we know they're recruiting heavily from nearby F1 teams for their...
Well, it'll be Red Bull management. It'll be Red Bull power unit. It won't be Honda, will it?
That's right, yeah. Yeah, no, you're right.
It'd be strange to see a Red Bull. It'll be an energy drink. That's when it'd be like, what? Energy drinks make engines?
It would just be like an energy can as a piston. or something. Like all new engine runs on actual Red Bull 2023. Like, watch out. Who knows? But they're recruiting from everywhere, from Mercedes, and they're already at this level of competitiveness. What are they going to be in 2023, 2024, 2025, when I think there's probably another engine change or engine rule sort of change going on around then? So you never know. Maybe Honda could be the key to Max Verstappen getting that first World Championship. Aaron, what do you think?
Well, firstly, Honda owe me a lot because I'm a McLaren fan, so I'm still not over 2015, 2016. So
you've been through years of turmoil.
Pain is the short answer. But yeah, I think, like you say, they could be the dominant force next regulations. Who knows? It's the beauty of these years before the changes. You don't really know what's going to happen. Some team could just come out of nowhere and be tops. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, so it's going to be really interesting to see how Honda progresses and how that will, enshrine Verstappen's dominance in F1 for the next couple of years. Who knows? But, they've made a few changes to that engine. I know that they completely redesigned the ICE. They made, a few changes to improve the combustion efficiency and the overall size of the unit. So actually Honda have kind of made that engine more compact, more efficient, and therefore it's just made so many benefits to that Red Bull. It must be an absolute dream if you're an aerodynamicist to work with the Honda engine power unit at the moment, because you're just an extra 10 centimeters on this side. All right, then let's play with it. But who knows?
Adrian Newey having a field day.
Yeah. Just touching on something we brought up earlier is, yes, can Verstappen keep this level of intensity over a sustained and intense title fight? That's going to be probably the thing that does it, and the thing that we haven't seen him do yet. So there's an unanswered question there that we know someone like Hamilton we know he can keep up a sustained and intense title fight. And we also know that, as Jess, I think, pointed out earlier, that Hamilton has a strong second half of the season in many of the close seasons that we've seen over the past few years. I think when we discussing this earlier in the group chat, guys, some of the seasons he's had gone past where he's come back in the second half of the season. So was it 2017? Vettel was 14 points ahead of Hamilton heading into Spa, so sort of around heading into 3/4 of the way through the season. Hamilton came back. Rosberg was 29 points ahead of Hamilton following Spa in 2014. What happened? Hamilton came back. And then Sebastian Vettel was ahead of Hamilton, was it in 2018, by a fair few points? And yes, it wasn't by that kind of margin, like a 20 or 30 point gap, but he was still nonetheless ahead, sort of in the latter half of the season. And Hamilton came back. And we're not even at the halfway point of the season. So I think maybe for those people who are 100% sure that Verstappen's going to do it, I think possibly they're underestimating the ability of Hamilton right now to then come back and, fight across a whole title. Jess, did you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I mean, he's not a 7-time world champion for no reason, He, admittedly, yes, okay, he's in a Mercedes. They have been the dominant force since the last rule change, but it's the fastest car. The fastest car is going to be at the front of the grid. Obviously, if it wasn't at the front of the grid, it wouldn't be the fastest car. And I think you can tell the difference between him and Bottas just sort of proves some of his talent. And I think a lot of his mindset going into it, he often will, well, not often, but whenever he has a bad race, he will come back and have a good one. Now, admittedly, in the last 3, he's not managed to do that. And particularly with the French Grand Prix, I'm going to put that down to strategy, because and I think they said it themselves, both the drivers were saying they needed to do a 2-stop and they didn't pit either of them. And normally some conspiracy theorists will say that they tend to favour Lewis over Bottas, which I guess I sort of agree with. He's probably number 1 over there. But they didn't pit either of them. So I'm going to put that one down to strategy. But I think you just look at the difference in their performances. You can see the mentality over a season. The best analogy I have for Verstappen, I think, in my head anyway, it sort of explains it to me, is that I see Verstappen very much like an Alonso, in that he's got a fairly similar temperament when it comes to driving. And Alonso has 2 world championships. He totally deserves them. He's a very, very good driver. Verstappen is a very, very good driver, and I absolutely believe he's going to win world championships. But I also sort of believe that, sort of as I was saying earlier, because we haven't seen the whole him like under that pressure for a whole season, I do believe that he will possibly get in his own way a little bit like Alonso has done in the past. Whereas you can sort of see it with Lewis, where he did do that when he was younger, but now he does get out of his own way enough that he can, over a whole season, perform and get those championships. As you said, he tends to take summer break, refocus on whatever it is he has to do, and then he comes back and he does it, and he has done it time and time again. And I think you can't, and you can never underestimate that. You can never underestimate a world champion like that, regardless of anything that happens, I guess.
Yeah. And it's quite funny, actually, going back to that. They didn't listen to any of the Mercedes drivers do the 2-stop. Was it Bottas over the radio who said, "You didn't listen to me. Yeah. You didn't listen to me." And now we've got all the memes everywhere being like, "Baby, pit me one more time." That was my personal favorite over the weekend, and others. But yeah, I mean, Aaron, I'm just going to throw that question to you. Just kind of round us off before we kind of wrap this up. Are we over, or are we underestimating Lewis Hamilton?
For me, you can never write him off. Everyone knows I'm not a big Hamilton fan. I think I've made that clear before, but yeah, you can never rule him out by any means. Like you say, he comes back, he knows what he's doing. Like Jess said, he's not a 7-time champ for now. He can just turn it on a sixpence and come back at you. So no matter how big your lead is, he can hunt you down. So yeah, I don't think anyone would underestimate him. I think it's just naive to do so. But I think people maybe are trying to buy into the Verstappen momentum, trying to really G him up, really just for a break in the monotony, if anything. If you're like me and you're sick of Hamilton winning races in championships, you want someone else to do it. So
yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of people who share that sentiment, Aaron, and potentially they are getting overexcited about Verstappen because they want someone else to become the next world champion, and they want someone else to become the new thing in F1, and therefore that sort of maybe clouds their objectiveness. Who knows? But there is definitely a momentum, and there's definitely a good feeling around the Verstappen camp right now, and I think. Yeah, you would be foolish to say that. You would be foolish to say he couldn't win the F World Championship this year, because he could. He could well do it. But let us know what you think. This is the really important thing about this pitcast: is do you think that Verstappen is ready to become world champion? Will he win this year's title? Let us know in the comment section below, or reply to our post on social media about what you think. So do get involved if you can. But thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed this and want to find more of our content, make sure to like and subscribe, and look out for us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify, or visit our website at www.thepitcrewonline.net. A special thank you to Aaron, Chris, and Jess for joining us. Guys, where can we find you all on social media? Jess?
So I am at T Motorsport Girl, stands for That Motorsport Girl.
Brilliant. And Aaron, where can we find you on social media?
At Aaron Owen 7.
Chris, where can we find you on social media?
Got a lot of brands at Dingy, but it's I am at C_Lordy91.
Lovely. And you can find me on Twitter at Wheeler_deals. But that's it for another episode of The Pitcast. And as always, we will see you out on